In the last week in this country of ours, there have been a number of cases of domestic violence that have led to the deaths of a number of our sisters across the country, in Chicago, before this in Houston, and in California and other places as well. And this is a sad reality and almost a taboo topic that needs to be addressed. And unfortunately, it is becoming not a very common, but it is, even one is more than enough. And even if it doesn't lead to death, still the amount of abuse taking place within marriages, it needs to be addressed head on. And in this few minutes that I have remaining, I want to just bring up some simple points. First and foremost, brothers and sisters, brothers in particular, and of course abuse takes place both ways, I know this, but statistically, it is women who are abused by their husbands more than the other way. And statistically, it is men who are more battering to the women. And statistically, it is men who murder their partners or ex-partners, their wives or ex-wives when they want to divorce more than the other way around. So this khutbah is not meant to neglect that it goes the other way, but the emphasis should be on the default, and that's going to be the next few minutes that I'm going to do. First and foremost, brothers, men, realize that Allah Azza wa Jal will ask you about your relationship with your spouses and your children. The Prophet ﷺ said in the farewell pilgrimage, khutbatul wada', he had a few weeks left to live, and he gave the largest khutbah that he ever gave in his life. It's only 5 paragraphs. Read it, you all know it. An entire paragraph is dedicated to protecting women. 1/5 of the khutbatul wada' is meant for women. And he said to the men, he's speaking to the men, ittaqullaha fin nisa. Be conscious of Allah with regards to your women and wives. Be conscious of Allah because you have taken them in the name of Allah. And you have had relationships with them using the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will be asked about them. Be conscious of how you treated them. And in the very final days of his life, one of the last sermons, one of the last hadith that we have mentioned is that he said to the people, fear Allah when it comes to the women. Fear Allah when it comes to the women. We have to answer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. More important than the law, more important than any culture or our family and friends. Every single husband is responsible in front of Allah for what happens in the privacy of the house. And a person who raises his hand to beat a defenseless woman is no gentleman. And this is what our Prophet ﷺ himself said when women came to complain about why husbands beating them. He gave a khutbah. You can read the seerah. He gave a khutbah and he said, these women have come complaining about their husbands. These men are not the best men amongst you. That's not the role model. Aisha radiallahu anha said, never in his life did the Prophet ﷺ raise his hand against a woman. Never in his life. So please, brothers, don't quote me books of fiqh and whatnot. The role model is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You want to be a true gentleman? You want to follow the sunnah? Do not raise your hand against a defenseless lady. Point